So, as mentioned previously, the second type of deductive reasoning that we're going to talk about is called the law of syllogism. The other way that you'll hear of this referred to as sometimes is the chain rule. It's when we're drawing conclusions based on two or more conditional statements. Symbolically, what we would say is, if P, then Q, so if we can assume P and we conclude Q, we also know that if we assume Q, we can conclude R, then we can really just assume from P, we can go straight over to R, because since P goes to Q and Q goes to R, we can skip right over that. It's called the law of syllogism or the chain rule. Example, if you get a job, then you will earn money. If you earn money, so my original conclusion matches my new hypothesis, then you will buy a new car. Well, we have a valid conclusion we can make. Since we know that if you get a job, you'll get money, and if you get money, you buy a car, we can skip the middleman here. We can say, if you get a job, then you will buy a new car. So my conclusion, when I'm dealing with more than one conditional statement, is going to be a new conditional statement, a new if-then statement. Let's look at a few examples. First one says, if you can read music, then you can play the guitar. If you can play the guitar, we already had playing the guitar. I highlighted it blue. I'll highlight it blue again. Then you can keep a beat. If I don't have highlighters ready, sometimes I'll just use different letters. This is P, then Q. Well, I have Q here, so I can say that this is Q, then that doesn't match with P, R. I have a valid conclusion. I can chain these together, take out the middleman, and say that if you can read music, then you keep a beat. So that's one example where the chain rule or the law of syllogism works. Next one. If it is a beautiful day, then we will have a picnic. If the sun is shining, well, that doesn't match my hypothesis or conclusion, so I can't use the same letter or give it the same color. Then it is a beautiful day. Well, I already have a beautiful day. I highlighted it in green, so I can highlight this in green as well because it's the same thing. Symbolically, we would have said P, then Q. Since this is new, I have to give it a new letter. I can say R, then we already used that. It was P. I can say P. While my first one doesn't chain directly into my second one, I still have a conclusion I can draw here. Because I can start with R, it will tell me P, and P will then tell me Q. Since I still have this match here, the beautiful day, one is a hypothesis, one is a conclusion, I still can apply the law of syllogism. I just have to make sure I start with my hypothesis that if the sun is shining, then I won't say it's a beautiful day because I can skip that. We know that's true. We know that if it's a beautiful day, we will have a picnic. I can say, then we will have a picnic. Okay, at the bottom here, there's 4 problems. I want you to draw a conclusion for the 4 of them if it can be drawn. And if it can, write your conclusion. If there is no conclusion, just write no conclusion. For each of them, see if you can figure out which law of reasoning we've been using. Was it the law of detachment? It's the law of detachment if we have one conditional plus a statement, a given. Or it could be the law of syllogism, our chain rule. We have that if we've been given multiple or more than one conditional statement. 2, 3, 4 if-then statements. Go ahead and try all 4. After you press pause, unpause it when you're done, and let's check our answers. So I'm going to do one at a time here in case you're cheating. Number 1, we can conclude angle K is a right angle. Because I was given P, able to conclude Q, my new given is P, I can make my conclusion. One conditional statement, that makes this the law of detachment. If you haven't finished them, press pause again, do number 2, 3, and 4. So number 2 has 2 different conditional statements. That makes this the law of syllogism. And we are able to make a conclusion because Jim leaves early, he's on time to school. That conclusion continued with a new conclusion. Jim leaves early, he will have time to talk to his friends. Number 3 is law of detachment again. This one can be a little tricky because it's not the exact same language or words being used, but it says if Jen speeds in her car, then she will get pulled over. Jen drove 80 in a 55. We didn't specifically say verbatim that she's speeding, but I think we all know that going 80 in a 55 is speeding. We are told that she's driving, so we can assume she's not walking or running that fast. So yes, she's speeding in her car, therefore we can conclude that she will get pulled over. Now, number 4 is something different. It says if you interview for a job, then you will wear a suit. If you interview for a job, then you will update your resume. That tells me P then Q, P then R. I don't have any logic that I can follow here to draw a conclusion, because if I interview for a job, there's 2 possible things I will do, and neither one of those allows me to draw a second conclusion. Here, I have no conclusion. I cannot use the law of syllogism here. Law of syllogism, I'd have to have a conclusion and a hypothesis that match from different statements. I don't have that here. No conclusion.